Good morning and welcome to the Midweek Mini. I'm your host, Andrea. I hope y'all are doing well out there. And I'm so excited today, y'all. Today starts the Burr month, and that means Halloween is coming.
The most wonderful time of the year.
Well, yeah, that's some Halloween music. Or not Halloween, but Christmas music. But Halloween is my favorite holiday. And autumn is my favorite season, so to me it is the most wonderful time of the year. And speaking of the Burr months, this coming Friday, September the 3rd at 8 p.m. Eastern. Now that's at night, y'all. I know I said p.m. and I'm not insinuating y'all are dumb. But I know we usually do morning shows. Well, the What the Friday is going to air at night, 8 p.m. Eastern. I hope y'all will listen in, and it's a little more graphic than our morning episode, so you might not want to let your little ones listen in, but that's totally up to you. Absolutely no judgment from us. We all do what's best for our kids. But anyway, on our first episode, I'm going to be talking about the Anthill Kids cult and its leader, Rock Terrio. I think I said that right. So I hope y'all will join in. So this past week I learned of an incident that happened at the Cleveland Clinic way back in 1929. Now, the Cleveland Clinic had just been built about 8 years before that, and it was one of the first not-for-profit hospitals. It included 140 hospital beds, or hospitals, rooms, several laboratories, and a diabetes treatment clinic. And many famous people went there for treatment of all kinds, and some of those people included William Randolph Hearst, Charles Lindbergh, and government officials from the U.S. and all around the world. And it was also there in that diabetes clinic that I mentioned that a little 4-year-old girl, she was an orphan, her name was Madeline Bibout, I think is how you pronounce her last name. She had fallen into a diabetic coma, and she was saved by a brand new medical discovery. And that medical discovery was insulin. Also during that time period, Dr. Otto Glasser invented a way to precisely measure the radiation doses that were being given to cancer patients. And his invention was called the dosimeter. But on May 15, 1929, disaster struck. And that's what we're going to be talking about today.
Triple M Studios proudly presents Midweek Mini. And here's your host, Andrea Lee.
Well, back in those days, X-ray films contained nitrocellulose, and if you didn't know, nitrocellulose is a flammable and very dangerous substance, and it needs to be handled with care. Well, on that day in May of 1929, an exposed light bulb came too close to some of that X-ray film that was being stored in the basement of the outpatient clinic. Well, what happened next was horrendous, to say the least. When the fire ignited, there was 2 explosions, and deadly gas was released, and its cloud quickly spread throughout the building. Now, one thing you should know about the gas is that even though you can see it because it has like a amber or a light brown color to the gas or whatever, by the time you do see it, it's too late. The noxious gas would overtake you, and you would basically just die in a matter of seconds because you would inhale like carbon monoxide, nitric oxide, and methyl chloride. And another interesting note about nitrocellulose is that when it's immersed in water, it continues to burn and release those gases. So when there's a fire, what is the normal protocol? Right, the fire department sprays water on it. Well, doing this actually caused even more of the poisonous gas to rise and accumulate. So nurses and other first responders literally gave their lives trying to save other people. The Cleveland Clinic's very first nurse was a lady, was a very lovely lady named, sorry about that, y'all, Lillian Grundy's, and she was an RN. And she was able to escape the cloud of gas by going out a window and down a ladder, but she didn't leave the scene. She worked tirelessly through that night and all of the next day, saving lives. But in the end, 123 patients, visitors, and caregivers were dead. And among those that were dead was one of the founders of the clinic, Dr. John Phillips. Well, two of the living founders, Drs. Cryle and Dr. Lower, they decided to carry on with their vision for the clinic, and they used their own money to rebuild. Now, while the new building was being constructed, the headmistress of the Laurel School there basically donated a dormitory that wasn't being used, and the clinic used it until the new building was completed. Now, like when, you hear of stories of how people come together in a tragedy to help each other out. And these people, they were just absolutely wonderful people, because not long after that, the Great Depression was in full swing, and none of the clinic's staff lost their jobs. Well, since then, the Cleveland Clinic has been a standout in the medical community. In 1932, a man by the name of Roy McCullough, and he had a PhD, he laid the groundwork for statin research by doing research on medicines called inhibins that was used to lower cholesterol. In 1936, Dr. George Cryle Sr. had developed a way to do thyroidectomies rapidly. I don't know what I was about to say there, but it's removing your thyroid. So it was in that year that he performed his 25,000th thyroid removal surgery. And there were so many because back in those days, salt wasn't iodized like it is now. So there was a lot of thyroid problems, and they had to come out. Then the 40s was also a really good decade for the clinic, because in 1942, a physical therapy school was opened to train Navy personnel, because the need was so great during World War II for physical therapists. In 1948, a children's ward was opened, and also in 1948, Dr. Arda A. Green, Maurice Rapport, who was a PhD, and Dr. Irvine Page discovered serotonin, and in doing so, they discovered that it had a positive effect on tumor formation and as a neurotransmission. So due to that discovery, we now have medicines like Prozac that helps with mental health issues. Now, over the decades that followed, many more discoveries were made. New additions to the clinic happened, and many, many remarkable women and men have worked there. Now, if the founders hadn't decided to carry on with their vision for the clinic after the fire took part of the building out, who knows what would be going on with modern medicine these days. Well, that's all I have for today. Don't forget to tune in Friday for the all-new What the Friday, and on Saturday for the Weekend Weird Files. Y'all have a great day.